Welcome to the Market Moon Lord, where we merge the matrix with the stars. I'm your host, Jason Alexander, the Blue Moon of Neptune, here to help you navigate through the illusions of life. And today we have a very exciting topic on how you can align your trading styles with your zodiac sign or zodiac dominating energies. By the time the video is over, not only are you going to understand how to align your trading or investment styles, but also better understand your own decision making. So you may be wondering, how does astrology help with this? And astrology low-key helps with everything. Okay, and I made this up years ago, but I call it the 3 A's. Okay, astrology helps build awareness, which helps build acceptance, which leads to alignment. After this video, we're going to build more awareness based upon your cosmic DNA, your sun sign, your dominating zodiac energies. Build that awareness so you can get into acceptance of that energy and align yourself with that energy. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 4 factors to help figure out, a better idea of how to trade based upon our zodiac dominating energies. Those 4 factors are going to be your rational trading rating, your emotional trading rating, your patience rating, and your trader risk tolerance rating. Now, I could go even deeper into all this sort of thing, and if you want me to, go ahead and make sure this video gets 100 likes to show me that you guys do value this content and you want me to go deeper into it. Because if we want to, we can look at each zodiac sign and kind of pick out certain sectors karmically that sign would do good in. We can look at karmically certain time frames this sign will also do well in, and of course elaborate on everything we're talking about today. Okay, so if you do want those type of videos, make sure this one gets 100 likes. Also, if you are looking for your own individual consultation with me, where we could break down all your energies, look at your entire chart together, and really find solutions on your decision makings, not only in trading, but also in general life, I would love to do that. I love to do one-on-one work. So you can find book a reading or consultation with me at the Blue Moon of Neptune. There's a link at the bottom at the description, bluemoonofneptune.com. But anyway, let's get started. So what we want to understand is, when I say rational trading rating, that's someone who is more likely to use their rationale and how often or how much energy they have towards that direction. When I say emotional trading rating, we're talking about someone who obviously is emotional, but also someone who most likely not only depends on emotions, but also their intuition, right? And then obviously patience rating is, how patient you are, how long you want to stay in the trade. If you're like a scalper, day trader, long-term investor, swing traders, that sort of thing. And then of course we have our riskier traders, people who might want to get into options and weigh out the money, that sort of thing, right? So we're going to dive into all that. We're going to go in order based upon each zodiac sign. One thing I also want to emphasize is the ratings I've made is based upon the rawness of the energy. Now, every energy is supposed to evolve and also supposed to kind of gravitate towards the opposition, right? Therefore, no one's trading style will be the same at the end of the day once they go through their journey and they really figure things out. So I am more focusing on the rawness of the energy. Starting off with Aries, the rational trading rating is going to be 50%, but they have the potential to go all the way up to 100%. Aries is typically a warrior sign. It is a warrior sign, and it wants to fight, and it's very passionate, and it just goes for it. Okay, Aries are just they have tunnel vision. They just go for the gold every single time. However, when the warrior turns into the general, like Aries / Mars rules Aries, goes into the sign Capricorn, becomes exalted. That's like the warrior becoming the general. Then Aries / Mars becomes a master strategic planner, strategist. Therefore, rational trading rating can definitely without a doubt be at 100%. Now, the emotional trading rating is going to be all the way up at 80%, okay, because they are very extremely emotional and passionate, and they definitely go by their feelings and their gut feeling, right? So, if their intuition's on point, they could be great at intuitive trading, but that is definitely a pitfall that Aries have to watch out for. They're definitely the type of sign that wants to hit the home run versus just make it on base, because Aries wants to be the best. Okay, so keep that in mind. They definitely are, they like to go big. Okay, so that's a potential pitfall. That being said, their patience rating is going to be 20%, because they do struggle a lot with patience. Now, when Aries becomes exalted, or Mars becomes exalted in Capricorn, that Capricorn energy. So if you have a lot of Aries energy, but you turn around, you have a lot of Capricorn energy, you might have like that master strategic planner energy about you. And then at that point, your patience rating can be at 100%. Okay. Now, risk tolerance trading rating, off the charts, 100%. If I can give you guys 1,000%, I would. I would. The risks, you guys' ability to take risk and really go for that home run and not care how other people are judging you, or not care how risky you're going to be. You guys are the type of signs to definitely do that. Okay, so that's Aries for you. Remember, that's the raw Aries, but you guys can definitely evolve. And keep in mind, if you have, you really want to look at Mercury, the Moon, the Ascendant, the Midheaven, the North Node. You want to look at those positions to really see what's going on, especially with decision making. Therefore, if you have a North Node in Aries, I would say this definitely applies to you. Okay, regardless of if your sun sign's in Taurus, for example. I really hate to just choose certain things, certain planets to look at. They all matter. If your Mars is in Capricorn, obviously this would kind of do what I'm talking about, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So all the planets matter for decision making. So don't scratch all that. They all matter. They all play a role, their own little role. But anyway, let's go to Taurus. Okay, so Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. It's a fixed sign. They're very, very stubborn. It's a very stubborn energy, but it's also a very let's enjoy life energy. So they're not like hardcore people, but they can be very, very stubborn. So I will say their emotional rating has to be at around 40% because of their stubbornness. Like, they're the type of people who stay in a trade. Like, they're the diamond handers. So Tauruses are the diamond handers. I mean, they will stay in a trade for emotional reasons. Okay. Now they're very rational at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to say the rational score for Tauruses is 75%, because they're an earth energy, and earth wants to kind of plan things out and kind of see the outcome before they jump into something. And Tauruses can be that way, okay? But at the same time, they're the bull, and so once you get the bull angry, it turns up and then becomes kind of emotional. But I will say their rational rating is pretty high, 75%, because they're fixated and they like to plan things and stick to that plan. Now, patience rating is 100% for that reason. They're fixated, they're stubborn, and they will stick to a plan for a long period of time. So they're very patient traders. They could definitely be swing traders and long-term traders, and do that very well. Now, risk tolerance rating, I kind of had mixed emotions about it, because the Taurus is pretty rational and it wants to be smart. However, it's ruled by Venus, and Venus doesn't necessarily care about being smart. It's that earth energy that Taurus has that wants to be wise about things. But however, Venus being ruled by Venus exalted in Pisces, I'm going to have to say the risk tolerance low key is 75%. Now, if it's a mature Taurus, kind of gravitating a lot towards that earth energy, then I could say the default could be close, a little bit further down, but I'll say that raw Taurus energy is definitely going to be around 75%. Okay, let's go on to Gemini. very Gemini energy. You see, we're dealing with the third house, which deals with news, information, broadcasting, networking, deal making, number pinching, all that sort of thing, Gemini stuff, right? So the stock market is low-key made for Gemini, and this is the type of information we're going to go over if we do those individual videos. If this video gets 100 likes, right now I'm just kind of giving you the ratings, but Gemini would definitely be an interesting video to kind of like break down the entire architect of the zodiac and how it's going to match with the the stock market. But anyways, the rational trading rating for Gemini is going to be a staggering 80%, the highest so far. Okay, and that's because it's Mercury. It's the planet of thinking, intelligence. Okay, Geminis are very calculated. They're very smart. They're very good with information. They're very good with numbers, and they're very fast with that sort of stuff as well. So their rational trading is very good. Their emotional trading level is at 20%, which is also a good thing, I guess, right? It depends. That also means they're not intuitive traders naturally. Okay, so they're not a type to be like, oh, they're naked shorting us, and it's really bunch of counterfeits, and I have that gut feeling it's real and I'm going to hold. That's not really the Gemini's default energy. So they're not emotional traders. Now, some of you guys may think I'm emotional, and I don't want you to confuse their communication as emotion, because they're very passionate with communication. Therefore, a lot of emotions can come off of that, right? And we could take Kanye West. He's a Gemini. Like, you would probably think he's like, well, he's also a Pisces moon, right? So he is emotional low key, right? But a lot of times he's faking emotions because he knows he's going to get a reaction. Okay, he's calculating the amount of emotion he's giving off purposely. Okay, that's the type of stuff. Mercury, any Mercury energy is trickster like energy. It's the trickster, right? It's very intelligent, but it's also the con artist, the scammer, the trickster, right? So no, Geminis really aren't that emotional. Okay, their patience rating isn't that high. It's going to be 30% because they love mental stimulation, and they get bored extremely easily. Okay, so they are not the most patient trainers, but they can learn to be. And maybe they just make themselves patient because they're so logical and they know what needs to be done type thing. Their risk tolerance rating is pretty high. It's at 90%. And it has a lot to do with the patience level. Gemini's definitely type is like, hey, how do we make $1 million like as fast as possible? So Gemini's, you have the kind of the same issue Aries have sometimes, right? They want that big moment, but Gemini kind of wants to happen because they need that stimulation, where Aries wants to be the best. Yeah, that's Gemini. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know. I was also curious about the Tauruses. I'm curious on how many Tauruses are actually watching and trading the stock market. I'm curious on that. And you all let me know how accurate we are so far if you're an Aries, Taurus, or Gemini. Okay, let's go on to Cancer. Cancer was a tricky one for me to kind of like pinpoint because it's a water sign, and therefore you would think they're not that rational, but they're also the crab, and the crab is likes to hide in a shell. Cancers are the home body of the zodiac, and they're very timid. It's a very timid energy. Therefore, it wants to make sure before it sticks his head out of the shell that it's a safe bet. Okay, so that forces them to be, I would say, rational traders. But the rawness of Cancer can also not always be rational because it is a water sign / emotional, right? So I will give them a 50%. I could kind of go either way, depending on if they're kind of gravitating towards that, like, let me be as safe as possible energy, which a lot of Cancers do fall into that. Now, emotional trading rating is going to be 80%. pretty high because they're very emotional and they're very intuitive too. So their emotions and their intuitions are naturally off the charts. So if a Cancer is more on the intuitive, emotional side of things, then I'm going to say they're going to be like 100% on their emotional rating, emotional trading side of things, right? But if they're kind of in that, like a little bit of that crab energy and that shell energy, and they go more towards like being safe, then that's what's making me bring them down to 80% on the emotional trading side. But one thing I will say about the Cancers is they are very good at having insight. Out of all the water signs, Cancer is known for the insight. Okay, so they can kind of, they're the mother of the zodiac. You know how a mom can kind of like see how things are going to play out before it happens in the families type thing. That's the Cancer energy. Okay, now patience rating, even though they're emotional, is very high at 80% because they like to be safe, and Cancer is like the mother and wants to nourish something and grow it. Okay, so definitely long-term traders, but they could be short-term traders, but definitely I would say more long-term traders because they want to nourish something, build it up, right? Elon Musk is a Cancer. Risk tolerance score is at 50%. It's going to be 50-50 again, because you never know what's driving the Cancer. If they're like if it's because sometimes Cancers can be like, I can make anything happen. This is the energy of the moon. I can do this. I can manifest it. I can, this will come true. This will happen. That sometimes Cancers gonna have that energy, but also sometimes Cancers can be like, let's play it safe, right? So I'm gonna say it's 50-50 on the tolerance level. Very interesting. Very interested to hear what the Cancers have to say about that. Okay, let's go to the next sign, Leo. Okay, so we have the second fire sign, Leo, fixed energy. It's a very speculative energy. It rules the fifth house of speculation. So right off the bat, we're going to say that their risk tolerance is 100%. I want to get that out of the way. They're like the Aries, the 100% risk tolerance all day. And Leos actually love taking risks. And just for the fun of it, they will take the risk, okay? But they're also fearless, because when their heart is in something, that's when that lion comes out, the Leo, and they become fearless. So the risk tolerance score rating is 100% like the Aries. The emotional trading rating is at 80%, a little bit higher than the Aries, okay? And again, it comes from that lion-like spirit. And it's already naturally very speculative, risk-taking sign as well. Now, irrational trading is also going to be 50%, just like the Aries. And I say 50% mainly because the Leo is also calculated, and it's the sun, so it knows how to move. It wants to like make the right steps. That's kind of like what the sun is doing. It wants to like when the sun goes up, we go to work and we do what we're supposed to do, right? So Leos are going to try to make the right steps, and Leos actually rule education as well. So they do want to also educate themselves. So they could be very rational, but I'm going to say it's 50-50 on like that default level. Okay. Now patience rating is much higher than the Aries at 75%, because it's the fixed sign. Leos, even though they're fire and they'll turn up on you, they're more of like a relaxed fire sign out of all the fire signs. The lion wants to just like chill and hang out until it has to hunt or you mess with it. So they have great patience, and that's why I want to do the individual videos where we can break down certain sectors, because Leo is one of those signs that kind of deal with a lot of different energies, like speculations, politics, kids, family, creative projects, arts. So Leo is definitely a very interesting sign when it comes to trading. Okay, moving on to Virgo. So I'm going to go ahead and say Virgo definitely gets the best rational trading rating of 95%. Now, Virgo is definitely going to be the only ones that get that. I would have given them 100, but that would just be ridiculous. They're very rational. It's a very rational sign, overly rational. Sometimes they could become emotional when they are gravitating towards that opposite sign of Pisces. So Virgos they do come off very emotional because they are, but they get emotional if things don't go as they should go on a rational standpoint. Like if something seems rational or something seems like it makes sense but it doesn't, that's when they get emotional. It's a very interesting situation Virgos have going on there. But the rational trading rating is 95%. The emotional trading rating is 50%. What Virgos want to be careful of is frustration. That's their main emotion, because they want things to make sense so badly that when it doesn't make sense, they get super frustrated. So Virgos have to just like monitor that frustration level. Another thing Virgos may have an issue with the stock market is letting go of the losses. They are very judgmental of themselves, so they do need to be careful of like, the emotions holding them back from taking risks because they had a loss from way back when, right? Or they're being afraid of the judgment, right? Or just being too hard on yourselves, right? So yes, they do need to work on that. On just letting go and moving forward always, not getting stuck on things that don't make sense all the time, right? Because sometimes the market does not make sense. Now, their patience rating is a 90% because they're very traditional. They want to make the right moves. They want to like walk within the lines type energy. So they will, their type of signs are going to really believe in long-term safe investments. That being said, the risk tolerance rating is 20%. I necessarily wouldn't say that Virgos are the most risky sign of the zodiac. I will say, however, if they are passionate and they feel like they can outsmart whatever is going on at that point, then with the confidence behind it, they can definitely become very risky people, because again, it is Mercury energy. The intelligent one, the trickster, wants to make the big thing happen, right? So Virgo is a very interesting sign, and it's like Gemini, where they're one of the best signs for trading, because Mercury is about information, fast moving information, and really making sure you are being logical and like looking at all the fine print and all that sort of thing. That's Virgo's going to do. Virgo's going to cover everything. Like Virgo's the type of trader who's going to look at the financial statement and understand it, and etc. Right? So Virgo is definitely made for the stock market. I would definitely say so. It's just I would say that they need to work on their emotions for one. Would be a big one, and then also maybe being less rational at the same time and more intuitive might be helpful for a Virgo. But yeah, that's what I have to say about Virgo. So let's move on to the Libra. Libra are one of those signs I think that can do really, really good in the stock market. One thing I want to mention is the planet Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. Saturn deals with logic, reality, and seeing things for what they are and understanding structures. It being best in Libra definitely leads me to say that Libras have the ability to become very, very rational, looking at it from that standpoint. Not to mention Libras are a air sign, also means they're very logical, very much analytical, and very much a thinking sign that wants to make sure things make sense in a way where they're supposed to, in a formula type format, right? Libras can operate like that. So they like to make a plan, carry out the plan as well. That being said, the rational score rating for trading is at 80%. It's pretty high up there. On the emotional level, I'm going to say that it's 50-50. Libras can get very emotional when they're the scales, right? They're the great balancer. But sometimes when things feel out of balance, that's when that's when they get out of balance and unstable, right? So I will say, like, what Libras want to make sure, like, since they're always trying to balance something, let's say they're on a Tesla play, right? And they lose $100 or $200, right? For example. And so they lost that bet, but sometimes depending on the Libra, since they just, now they're down $200 on Tesla, they're going to make a bigger bet on the next one to try to balance out the loss on the previous one, which, as you can see, that could have a bad effect on your trading if you're losing a lot and you want to keep trying to chase and balance back out your portfolio, right? Versus taking your time with it. So that, in that sense, when things are out of balance, they can become emotional, in my opinion. So it's 50-50 whether or not, how well they are with balancing and letting go of things. On the patient scale, I will say they do have decent patience, though. The reason why is because they do have the ability to, do that Saturn Capricorn energy that I was telling you about, where Saturn's resulted in Libra, which is a very stable energy. And as Libra wants to balance things out and, make sure they're weighing out decisions, they will hold something long term in that sense. They're very much a partnership. Once they commit to something sign, they can stay true to that and have that patience if they can embody that night. Because Libras have the ability to, I like to say, reach a Zen state. Since they're always trying to balance everything, they have the ability to balance their mind, body, soul. Therefore, they can become very stable with their decision makings and stick to those decisions, allowing me to give them a patience rating of 75% here. All right, risk tolerance score, I am going to say it is 50%. It's also 50-50. Of course, Libras are getting, decent amount of 50-50 energies here because they're the scales. They're the halfway point of the zodiac, all right? So it all depends. Sometimes Libras are very much a safe, I would say Libras are more likely a safe playing sign than not, because they want things to be balanced. They don't want to be in the extremes, but because we all kind of gravitate towards the opposite energy, and Libras are the scales, they can definitely be the type of signs that can operate in the extremes. Therefore, they have the ability to take their risk tolerance score up to 100%. That's without a doubt. Okay, moving on to Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is a very interesting sign. Okay, so and I'm going to go ahead and say Scorpios gets the best ratings out of everybody because they kind of rank high in all of these sectors. Okay. Now, the thing about Scorpio, and I will say there's a ton of financial advisors, bankers, CEOs, people of power, people with a lot of money that have Scorpio energy. I have a theory on that, but that is for one of those videos where we go into a deep dive on each specific zodiac and how their energies operate with the stock market nicely, right? Or with investing nicely. But anyway, the rational score for Scorpio, I am going to give it an 80%. Now, you're probably thinking they're a water sign. They're on the emotional side of things. And yes, they very much are emotional water sign. However, since it is the eighth house of death and, things making sense on all levels, even the unseen. Scorpios become very big on research. They are definitely the researchers of the zodiac. They definitely want to see what's not being seen. They're definitely the sign that's going to try to cover a lot of the aspects of their investments and go really, really deep into it if they are getting into that logical side. Now, Scorpio could definitely be just operating from a emotional side and just kind of doing things from an intuitive and emotional level. But a lot of those Scorpios are definitely going to embody that eighth house energy where they want to go really deep into what they are focusing on and doing that research. And remember, Another thing to remember is Scorpio is also co-ruled by Mars, not just Pluto. And remember, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, allowing it to become the warrior to the general and a master strategist. So rational score for Scorpio is 80%. Now, emotional score for Scorpio is, I'm going to give it a whopping 90%, and I'm pretty sure that is the highest so far. Yeah, Cancer got 80%. They get 90%. Scorpios are extremely intuitive, and they're very, very good at understanding motives. Therefore, they will be extremely good at understanding market segment. They will be very, very, very good at that. And they'll be very good at, identifying fake news as well. And they're going to have a very good understanding. They're a type of sign that's going to look at the CEO of a company and, be able to gauge what type of person that is and try to make intuitive decisions based on that as well. A very intuitive trader for sure. Scorpio gets a whopping 90%, and that can definitely go up to 100%. What Scorpios want to be careful for, though, is overconfidence and overly estimating, what your intuition is telling you. Okay, so sometimes your intuition can definitely work against you. Emotional trading for sure. These are definitely a sign that could be very much in emotional trading. Another thing I want to talk about with Scorpios, they're always trying to transform something, so they're definitely a big play sign. Want to make the big play. Scorpios are definitely the type of people who bet the whole house, and if they lose the whole house, they'll do it again. Okay, so they could definitely be very, very, very emotional trading, and they have the need to transform something. They have the need to make something happen. So they definitely need to watch out for that desire energy that they have. Very, very emotional, but also very intuitive when it comes to trading, and they could become very non-emotional when it comes to trading too, because Scorpios definitely have the ability to detach from their emotions. I don't want to get too deep into that, but the moon is debilitated in Scorpio, and moon rules emotions, but that's a different conversation. Okay, patience rating. I'm going to give Scorpio 100%. Yes, I give Scorpio 100% patience rating. That's even higher than the Virgo. Did anyone? Oh, okay. No, the Virgo did get. Wow, Virgo got 90. Okay, so the Scorpio gets a 100% patience rating. Why do I say that? The Scorpio have the ability to take an emotional state and hold it for a lifetime. They are also have the ability to stay convicted for something. They're the most stubborn sign of the zodiac. Oh, Taurus. Taurus, opposite of Scorpio, also got the 100% rating. Very funny, right? How that works, because they're both fixed signs. Okay, Scorpio is fixed eye, so it has like fixation not only from the mind, but from also the emotions. So if they're like, I'm gonna hold this for a lifetime, they will. If they're like, hey, I'm gonna diamond hand AMC no matter what happens, they will. Okay, Scorpios are very, 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 very patient people, and you don't want to have problems with Scorpios for that reason, right? They'll play it cool for a lifetime, just so they can get in position on you. Okay, now trader risk tolerance for Scorpio, 100% without a doubt. The only other person who had 100% here so far would be Aries. Potentially the next signs might have that, but they're definitely 100%. Scorpios are not afraid to fall. They're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to die. Okay, let me stop. But no, for real, Scorpios is a pretty fearless sign. Now, on the opposite side of that, they could become very fear-based. In fact, low-key, they are very fear-like signs. But sometimes Scorpios, it's the fear of not being rich that makes them become rich, right? That's how that fear operates. But sometimes some Scorpios definitely going to be too afraid to put their money in vulnerable positions, because they are very big on their power, and letting go of their money is like letting go of their power. So some of them are going to play it safe. But I'm going to say that raw Scorpio side is not afraid to take risk, which is probably why there's a lot of powerful Scorpios in the banking and in the financial sector. Okay, moving on. to Sagittarius. Sagittarius on a rational score gets a 70%, mainly because yes, it's a fire sign. Yes, it's the last fire sign, the most fiery, you could almost say. However, since it's ruled by Jupiter deals with wisdom. Their Sagittarius is going to basically want to go into the stock market being wise about it. And anyone who does any research on stock market is going to say, hey, be smart, be wise, really do the research on your investments. And that's the energy the Sagittarius is going to bring into their trading, simply because they're going to want to have the wisdom before they start trading. Or they might learn as they go, because they're very big on learning with experience, but they're going to come up with some type of rational play formula for their trading. And they can become very rational because Jupiter is wise. On the emotional scale, they do hit at 80%, very high, because it is fire, and they're definitely type of energy that wants to follow their heart and do what they believe in. Sagittarius is definitely like optimistic and a belief driven sign, Jupiter. Therefore, they can become very emotional as well. And they can definitely run into a situation where they want big results right away, fire energy. So they do need to be careful of just harnessing all that like fire they have within them. As far as patience, I'm going to give them a 30% because Jupiter needs to move. Sagittarius needs to move, okay? And it doesn't like to stay in one spot too long. That's that natural traveling energy of Sagittarius. So I will say that they probably will struggle a little bit with patience, and something they may need to work on. As far as risk tolerance, I'm going to give them a whopping 100%. Sagittarius are not afraid, and they love to follow their heart. And once they have their eye on the prize, there's kind of no stopping them, which is why it's the arrow. Remember, Sagittarius, you always have to have a goal and be aiming for something to activate that Sagittarius luck, because they are the luckiest sign of the zodiac, being ruled by Jupiter, which is a dwarf sun that deals with expansion, and giving people what they want. It's a very lucky sign, and we could dive deeper into all that stuff when we do the individual assessments. Now, Capricorn, rational rating is 100%. Obviously, we're dealing with Saturn, we're dealing with structure, we're dealing with the grandpa wants to do things by the book. Okay, that's Capricorn, 100% on our rational score all day. And Virgo didn't even get that. That's very, very, very interesting. Now, even though Capricorns are very rational, they could come off like they're doing very irrational things, and that's typically because they're making a rational, irrational decision. Now, what does that mean, right? Capricorn's type of people who they'll be making $200,000 a year in a job, and they'll quit their job and they'll start a business making $100,000 a year because they're like, yo, this makes sense for me long term. This is what I want, right? So, and everyone else might be like, that doesn't really make sense. But to them, it does. And they're making that rational decision to do that, and they know what they're getting themselves into. Therefore, the rational score is 100%, and they tend to be rational people in general. Capricorn deals with reality, and they're like the ultimate reality check sign. On emotional trading rating scales, it's a 10%. They're definitely not the sign to make decisions based on intuition and emotions, most likely when it comes to the stock market, because Saturn is literally opposite of all that. That's why the moon is at its fall, almost deactivated the thing that rules emotions in the sign of Capricorn. That's why Capricorn moon people can come off kind of dry and insensitive, and Capricorns can somewhat do that as well. Patience rating is a 100%. It being Saturn, Saturn literally rules patience and time. So obviously Capricorn is going to blow pretty much everyone. If I can give them 120% on patience rating, I will. They are the long-term investors that will hold something for a lifetime, and they're the type of people who will diamond hand something like AMC all day. Risk tolerance score is at 70%. Now, that's higher than you probably would have guessed, but I guess it's not, because I explained the first story that they're not afraid to take risk as long as it's calculated in their mind, because it is the first earth sign. It deals with gravel. It's the cardinal. Therefore, they want to like take the pieces and put it all together. And sometimes they're not afraid to, start something from scratch. They're very ambitious. They are like the boss, ambitious like sign of the zodiac. Okay, moving on to an Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is one of those unique signs, especially because it's ruled by Saturn and in Aquarius, which are very opposite of each other, almost. I would say on opposite spectrums of the same, opposite frequencies of the same spectrum. So Aquarius is a very rational trader. I'm going to give it a 90% because Saturn is co-ruled with Saturn, and Saturn is very logical, stable, disciplined, structured based, and wants to follow the rules. However, I'm going to give it a 30% on the emotional side of things, because even though it's all those Saturn things, it has the ability to become emotional with the Uranus quality, that Uranus wants to bring in the future, change things up, mix things up, force change. Okay, it's a pioneer, it's an inventor. So it was very futuristically driven. So they will tear down the pieces and just build something new for the hell of it. That being said, they can be emotional from that standpoint. Now, one thing we want to think about when we're thinking about Aquarius, and this will be very interesting when we do individual readings for each sign, and we go more in depth into like the sectors that they're into, if this video gets 100 likes. But they are humanitarians of the zodiac, so they're very big on anything that's going to help the world. And if you think about plays like AMC, GameStop, where it's driven by a community, Aquarius is all for that sort of thing, and they'll diamond hand a play for that reason, or to help the world, making them have that emotional quality. And that Uranus wants them to transform and change something, right? So that could be a explosive like energy as well. Aquarius is a type of sign that will like stick to all the rules for a long period of time, just to say, oh no, never mind, and just blow it all up suddenly, right? So they definitely can embody some emotional trading for that reason. But for the most part, Aquarius is an air sign. It's in a Saturn, and it's typically known for being detached. So they're more likely to be non-emotional traders, and definitely more rational traders. As far as patience, they are going to get a 90%. Saturn, again, deals with time, deals with discipline, and deals with consistency and patience. Okay. But they also get a high score there because they're the second air sign of the zodiac, making them the fix from the modality standpoint, making them stubborn and fixated onto one thing. Okay, so the risk tolerance score is very high at 70 or at 100%, excuse me. And that's because Aquarius are not afraid to take a risk. That Uranus energy I was telling you about, they're not afraid to destroy the old and bring in a new. They're not afraid to blow things up, okay, and start from scratch. So if they put it all on the table and they lose it all, they're not afraid to go right back and do it. Okay, so Aquarius is one of the higher scores overall with all the trading. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna go over Pisces. Pisces, first of all, is opposite of Virgo, which Virgo had one of the highest score for stock market trading. Pisces isn't necessarily like a natural energy towards like numbers and finance and that sort of thing. However, the thing about Pisces is it is the sign that's co-ruled by Jupiter, and it wants to learn everything at a deep level and gain wisdom on it. So Pisces into the stock market is going to want to gain wisdom. Therefore, even though it's a very emotional like sign, it will gain wisdom and try to be wise about trading, So I'm able to give the rational score for Pisces a 50% if they embody that Jupiter energy and get that wisdom down on the situation. As far as emotional trading, I am going to give them a 90%. They score very high there because they're very emotionally, intuitively driven sign, and so they will definitely depend on their intuition to make a lot of trades and stick to their intuition for those trades, and potentially have very good intuition with trades, potentially, right? All the water signs can potentially do this if their third eye is properly tuned, and you know, they're seeing things with you know, non-biased, grounded standpoint, I could say. Now, Pisces definitely have to watch out for being indecisive when it comes to trading. So a lot of back and forth with decisions. It's the fishes that swim in a circle. So they definitely need to be careful of a lot of the indecision makings and trying to be more like the opposite sign, Virgo, making a plan, sticking to the plan. Okay, so as far as patience on the Pisces, I will give them 70% there because Pisces is a pretty patient sign because they're not a very urgent like energy. It's the fishes that kind of just go with the flow of the ocean, right? So they are able to stay in a play for a long time, and since they're a little indecisive once they're in it, it may be hard for them to get out of it, making them a good long-term holder type energy. As far as risk-taking score, even though they're the fishes and they get scared easily, they want to swim away, I still give them a high risk tolerance score of 70% because it's co-ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is very, very optimistic and not afraid to take a risk for that reason. And it's also ruled by Neptune, which can also be a planet that will kind of not care about the rules and kind of do its own thing. So Pisces can get the 70% on the risk-taking tolerance rating. Okay, so that covers all the planets or all the signs. I cannot believe we did that well. This is probably going to be my longest video ever. If you guys do like this type of videos and you guys want me to do more videos like this, go ahead and hit the like button. If you guys want me to elaborate on this type of stuff and talk more about each sign in more detail and talk about the certain sectors that sign will do good in, make sure this video gets 100 likes. And if you guys looking for more videos or more DD or just more unique content that you're not going to really see anywhere else on the internet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you are looking for your own personal reading by me, consultation by me, where we take a deep look at all your stars combined, and we could talk about how your decision making happens and how you're programmed on a cosmic level and get you in better alignment with your own energy so you can get better results in life in general, you can book a consultation with me at the description below. You'll see the bluemoonofneptune.com. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching. I'm Jason Alexander, the Blue Moon of Neptune, here to help you navigate through the illusions of life. You're watching the Market Moon Lord, where we merge the matrix with the stars. Until next time, peace.